and eventually sinking it. The authorities sprung into action, dispatching 3 frigates and 2 helicopters as part of the rescue efforts. That 48-hour window is closing, and after that, rescue efforts will turn into recovery operations as brutal sea conditions could overpower those left in the water. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera.
Still ahead on the Al Jazeera News Hour, another push in Peru's Congress to move elections forward in an attempt to end a political standoff. Traffic, pollution, and too many people. We explore how unchecked development makes the Bangladeshi capital one of the world's most unlivable cities.
Hi there. It's looking rather wet across eastern areas of southern Africa. But before we get there, let's have a look at the Middle East and Levant, where we are going to see some wetter weather push its way east out of the Mediterranean, bringing some showers to the likes of Israel, the occupied Palestinian territories, as well as Syria and Lebanon. Now, we've had a dry few days in Beirut. That's certainly going to change on Wednesday, but there will be some improvement as we go into the weekend. And that's as that system pushes its way across Iraq, bringing the showers here. Snow to western areas of Iran, and we could see some of those showers trickle down into Kuwait as well as southern areas of Saudi Arabia. That cloud descending its way further south. We could see some of that pulling across into the Gulf states like Qatar by the weekend. Unsettled conditions continue across some northern areas of Libya as well as Cairo. It's looking rather cloudy and much cooler across this region. The strong winds could kick up some of those sandstorms. We have got warnings out for Mauritania as that strong wind blows in. It's much drier here, however. For the wet weather, we have to head further south. We've seen some heavy rain for Zimbabwe as well as Zambia, Mozambique and Madagascar, with more to come on Thursday. That's your weather.
Progress or a serious mistake. Artificial intelligence is slowly invading every aspect of our lives. But very few of us really understand its capabilities, for better or worse. Al Jazeera explores the impact of AI accessing vast amounts of our personal data. Dataland on Al Jazeera.
Where clouds meet mountains, where struggle gives birth to true passion, where faith is more than just belief, where humanity defies expectations, where freedom is always worth fighting for. Bold and untold stories from across Asia and the Pacific. 101 East on Al Jazeera.
Again, the headlines on Al Jazeera. The World Cup winners, Argentina, and their captain Lionel Messi are being cheered by tens of thousands of fans ahead of a victory parade in the capital. These are the latest pictures of the fans. There they are. They're gathering at the city center in Buenos Aires on what's been declared a public holiday. And Morocco's national football team has also arrived back home to a hero's welcome after making history at the World Cup. The Atlas Lions stunned European giants Spain and Portugal to become the first African and Arab team to reach the semi-finals. Ukraine's president has visited the frontline city of Bakhmut. It's been badly damaged in fighting with Russian troops. Volodymyr Zelensky says the situation in Russian-held parts of eastern Ukraine is extremely difficult. The Taliban has ordered a nationwide ban on university education for Afghan females. It comes less than 3 months after thousands of girls and women sat university entrance exams across the country. This is being seen as another step by Afghanistan's hardline rulers to crush women's right to education and to freedom. Our diplomatic editor, James Bays, is joining us now from the UN headquarters in New York to tell us what reaction there is from the United Nations to this.
Well, this came, the news that the Taliban not only now are banning girls from going to secondary schools, they're banning female students from university. The news came in a letter that emerged late at night in Kabul from the higher education minister of the Taliban. Now, it's odd that this news would emerge after 9 o'clock at night Kabul time, but let me tell you, at the same time, here in New York, the UN Security Council was meeting for its regular meeting, happens every 3 months, on Afghanistan. And the fact that this took place at the same time the Security Council meeting is taking place, I think is no coincidence. That's certainly what I'm being told by diplomats. They think it's a very deliberate message that's being sent by the Taliban. Some of those in the Security Council meeting got the news of the Taliban's ruling, and certainly the deputy US ambassador and the British ambassador both asked to speak again in the Security Council to denounce this latest move. It also was condemned by the spokesperson of the UN Secretary General.
It's clearly another broken promise from the Taliban. We have seen since their takeover, and also in the past months, just a lessening of the space for women, not only in education, but access to public areas, their non-participation in the public debate. It's another very troubling move, and it's difficult to imagine how a country can develop, can deal with all of the challenges that it has without the active participation of women and the education.
It's worth telling you that this latest decision by the Taliban is being condemned by everyone, it appears, in the international community. Certainly there are some countries that have better relations with the Taliban than the Western countries. I spoke to Ambassador Zhang Jun, who is the Chinese ambassador to the United Nations, as he came out of the Security Council, and he actually wasn't aware of this news when I told him about it, and he said it was most disappointing. I also spoke to the Pakistan ambassador, Munir Akram, who also said this was very bad news and a step that was very much in the wrong direction.
Okay, thank you so much. Our diplomatic editor, James Bay, is reporting from the UN. Pakistan security forces say that they've killed all 33 Taliban fighters who took hostages at a detention center. Troops stormed the facility in the northwest of the country where gunmen had been holding several people since Sunday. Efforts to negotiate with the Pakistani Taliban hostage takers failed. 2 Pakistani soldiers were killed in the rescue operation, which officials described as successful. Kamal Haider has more from Islamabad.
This incident took place on Sunday, so that's 3 days away. The hostage takers who were actually held at that detention center of the counterterrorism department overpowered their interrogators, then took them hostage and besieged the compound. After that, the government decided to cut internet link and also asked the residents of the cantonment area where this is situated not to come out of their houses because there was a fear that these people may attack the surrounding areas. The military then cordoned off the area. There were intense negotiations to try and find a peaceful settlement to this. That failed. And earlier today, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, one of their leaders, issued a statement asking those people who were inside the compound not to surrender. But this afternoon, shots rang out. There were plumes of black smoke billowing out of the compound. The military began its operations with the special forces and secured the compounds. Is always the standard operating procedure. The cleanup or mop-up operation is going on just to check for any booby traps or any of the fighters who may still be holed up and hiding inside that compound.
Peru's Congress is debating a bill to hold early elections for the second time in less than a week. On Friday, legislators rejected similar efforts. President Dina Boluarte wants the election to be held in December next year. They're not due until 2026. Bringing the vote forward is a key demand of the supporters of the ousted President Pedro Castillo. He was impeached and detained earlier this month, triggering days of unrest. Mariana Sanchez is joining us now live from Lima. So in the middle of political turmoil in Peru, Mariano, people are demanding new elections. Congress is to hold elections ahead of time. what do we expect to happen?
Well, that is a big question, Doreen, because we are not sure really at this point if legislators will listen to the demand of the great majority of Peruvians. 83%, say opinion polls, of Peruvians want new elections to be brought forward as soon as possible. Now, there's a big division in Congress. There are some lawmakers who are acknowledging this demand from most Peruvians, and they're saying, yes, we have to vote immediately to bring forward the elections. But there are two groups, the extreme leftists and the extreme rightists. The left saying we would like to bring that forward, but they want to change of the constitution with a new constitutional assembly. And the rightists are saying that there is absolutely no way that they will vote for a constitutional reform with a constitutional assembly, and they are not going to vote in favor of this if that is included. Now, they need 87.